All right, everybody, it's Bellows Blades here with another gun review today. And today we're going to be looking at a Canik Mete SFT Pro. So this is a gun here that just recently got in. I wanted to do a review on, and it's the first Canik that I've had the chance to review. I have had a chance to shoot a couple other Caniks, but this is my first chance to review one. So this, as of now, has not been to the range yet. I plan on doing that in this review so that you're going to get my first impressions of actually shooting this gun, and we'll go ahead and film all that for you and give you guys an honest opinion of the gun itself. So the first thing about Canik that kind of jumps out at you is all that you get in the package with the Canik. So the first thing you can see here, obviously it does come with a holster. In this case, it is a Kydex formed holster. Looks like it is generally designed here for at least currently set up for outside the waistband, but it does look like you can flip these clips around so that you could also potentially carry this in the waistband. So that's kind of nice. Of course, you'll notice right away that this is a threaded barrel that is on this. So of course that opens up a few more options for you as well. First thing we want to do is drop the magazine and go ahead and check and make sure that this thing is clear, which it looks like it is. I'm struggling here to get that slide release. There we go. You can tell I have not really handled this thing much. But it does have that longer slide release, but I'm finding it's actually kind of hard for me to engage it with my thumb. But there it is. So you can see there that it is clear. It's been verified as clear, so we've got that. Magazine's empty, so we're good there. So kind of first thoughts, you've got a very extended, it looks like, mag release here, and that mag does drop out pretty easily. You've got the flared mag well, which is nice. Makes it a little easier for quicker reloads. And this thing does come, I believe, with two magazines of different capacity. So you have the 18 round, which is what's in it, and you can see that that is a flush mag. So it fits flush in there. Now, the only thing about that I don't really like is if there was some kind of a hang up there and the mag got stuck, you really have nothing to grip on to kind of strip it out. So I'm not a big fan of that, but it does, sit flush there. And then over here, you've got what I think is a 20 round. It's got the 2 mag extension on it, or 2 round extension on it. And then you've got the loader as well there. So let's see what that looks like in the gun. And I do think that I like that quite a bit better because you can see here, you can actually grab onto that if you needed to and strip that out. If you had any kind of a malfunction where you had to strip that out. It does seem to drop free pretty easily though, so you shouldn't have a problem with that. But I do like the 20 round a little bit better than I do that 18 round. So you can see here they have a spot cut out in the foam that you can keep another mag as well. So let's look at what all this comes with. So before we get too much into the gun itself. So as I mentioned, obviously you've got the holster, which we looked at. You've got the 2 magazines, you've got the loader, you've got your trigger lock. It looks like you have 2 different plates here for optics, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. Pulling this down so you can see it. You've got the replaceable back straps. So it's got a small, medium, large. Looks like we've got a large and a small, so I think the medium is what's on it right now. You've got the punch tool here for replacing those back straps. You've got the wrench for the thread protector on the threaded barrel. You've got, it looks like a brush and a cleaning cloth or a patch holder there that comes with it. It looks like, they've got spots for some other stuff here, so I don't know if there's versions that come with other things in it or not, or if this is just kind of a uniform for all their guns, that they punch it out the same way and only remove what they need. And then they have this here, which is pretty cool. It's like the little miniature Canik that actually is your tool set. So inside here, you open this, and it's got all your optic screws and all that other stuff that's housed inside of this. And it's actually also serves as a bit driver. So there's some bits in there that you would use for replacing the optics plate and the bits fit right into the barrel of the gun here, and you use it as a bit driver. So that's pretty neat as well. Just something a little different that Canik does. So looking at the gun itself, of course, I mentioned you've got the threaded barrel. You've got the barrel itself is also, I don't know how well you can see it there, and maybe we'll strip it here in a second, but it's also fluted and it's chrome plated. You can tell that it's chrome plated there. And you can see here that you do have the ports cut out in the slide. It's a ported slide as well. The sights, you've got blacked out rear sights, and you've got a tritium front sight. The blacked out rear, you can see here, is angled as well. So you can rack that on your belt or a table or another surface, kind of hook it in there. It helps with the ability in an emergency situation to be able to rack that thing. So that's always a nice touch. You've got serrations on the slide front and back for making it a little easier to rack the slide. In the back, you've got a loaded indicator, or not a loaded indicator, I'm sorry. Yeah, it does have a loaded indicator. That's actually up here. You have the cocked indicator showing that the striker, the pen is in a cocked position here and ready to fire. So as we've cleared the gun, I'll go ahead and get rid of that so you can see what it looks like without that indicator showing that it's in the cocked position. And there you are back in the cocked position. So you've got that. I believe one of the things that I think is in this handle as well is the mag release. You have the ability to swap it, I think, side to side, and also put a smaller one on there if you don't want one that sticks out so far. That is replaceable as well. Of course, we mentioned that it is optic capable. So you have a plate here. The thing I like about this plate is it doesn't interfere with the rear sight. So you can take the plate off and still use your rear sights, which is a nice touch. I don't like when the plate and the sight are all together, and so when you put an optic on, you lose your rear sight. So this gives you the ability to use an optic that could potentially co-witness with your regular sights, and that way you're not losing those sights should the battery die on the optic. So I like that. That is a nice touch as well. One of the things, of course, you have to talk about anytime you have a Canik is the trigger. So you can see this thing is basically made to break at 90 degrees. It's a 90-degree flat trigger. But the thing about the Caniks is how good these triggers are out of the box for a polymer striker-fired pistol. So you can see this thing does have a little bit of creep or take up before it hits a wall. And right there, I've hit a very, that's a very firm, solid wall. You can feel the wall. And then just a little bit more pressure and it breaks. Now, the thing that's really, really impressive about these things is the reset. I want you to watch this as I let go. Right there. It's an instant reset. I mean, you just barely let go and it resets. So really, really great trigger in the Caniks just all the time. And this one, of course, is no exception. It has an amazing trigger. You got stippling here on the front and sides of the handle, and then you've got some of these kind of protrusions here on the back. They give you a little bit of grip in the palm area as well. It feels like it's going to work well in the hand. Again, I haven't shot this yet. We're going to take it out and do that, but the grip feels pretty decent in the hand. I've got no problems with that. As far as takedown or teardown of this thing, I'm going to go ahead and move the case out of the way here since we've already looked at what's in there. The teardown of this thing, I believe, is somewhat similar to a Glock, it looks like. So we're going to see if we can do this. So normally a lot of my Springfields are what I'm used to, and they have a takedown lever that you rotate. This one doesn't really have that. So I think you just pull down here, and then I think you have to fire it. And that's one thing that you got to be aware of. And then I think this just comes out, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, now I'm going to have trouble doing it. There it goes. So yeah, it looks like you have little notches here that you've kind of got to line up and make sure that you line those up when you put it on and take it off. And then as far as tearing it down, actually it looks like you're going to have to take the thread protector off. Yep. In order to... And I have not tightened this thing up, like cranked on it with a wrench. I think you don't want to leave it hand tight when you're actually firing it. I have a feeling it would work its way loose. So just to give you a view of that chrome plated and fluted barrel. That's what you've got right there. And it is the 1.5 by 28 thread. So they've got that marked right on the barrel for you so you can see what it is that you're dealing with. So pretty basic takedown, not anything really too different from what you probably would be used to if you've got any experience with handguns at all. I'm going to go ahead and put that back on, and we'll go ahead and put this thing back together and hope that I can do this without any issue. Like I said, I think you just got to line that up, and then yeah, and we're back in business. So pretty simple overall. I still kind of prefer the takedown lever myself, but that's not too bad. It seems like that came apart, went together pretty easily. So yeah, initial impressions, guys, I think it looks sharp. I did order a compensator to put on the end of it, and so I will be doing a separate review of the compensator after I've done the review of the handgun. But I do want to shoot it first without the compensator on, just to get a baseline, and that way I can tell you how good that compensator actually is and how much difference it makes. So we're going to take this thing out to the range, and we're going to do a little bit of shooting with it just to see how I do, how accurate either the gun is, or more than likely how accurate I am with the gun, and give you guys my impressions after having shot it. But overall, yeah, like I said, I think I didn't mention here that it does have a rail for attachments here. Of course, you know, that's pretty standard on most of your polymer guns nowadays. So I think I basically hit everything else. You do have an undercut here on the trigger, which is nice. It lets you get higher up. You kind of have that almost beaver tail where you can really choke up on the gun, and it looks like it has a fairly large trigger guard, so gloves shouldn't be a problem. If you're somebody who shoots with gloves, they've made allowances for that. So just glancing over it, I think I've hit all the high points. So we're going to take it out and shoot it, and I'll be back to give you kind of my thoughts on the gun after I've actually shot the thing. But so far, just tabletop. Looks like a nice gun. Looks like a something that Canik put together and did a pretty good job on. So I'm hoping that I like it as much after I shoot it as I like it right now, just looking over it out of the box. So we'll be back to let you know. All right, we're back after taking this gun out to the range and doing just a little shooting. I didn't do a whole lot, just real quick. Shot a couple mags through it. Overall, I was pretty impressed with the way that it shot for just basically first time taking it to the range and just pulling up and shooting the same way I would with any other gun. Not really overly focusing on mechanics, just trying to kind of do a natural aim and shoot. Based on the fact that I don't shoot thousands of rounds, even really probably in a year. But, you know, definitely not one of those guys who goes out and has the ability to just shoot all the time. I felt like this thing performed really well, and I feel like it could definitely perform better. I could perform better with it. The trigger was amazing on this thing, just really smooth shooting. I'm going to also I bought a compensator for this gun, so I'm also going to do a review with the compensator on it to see how much of a difference that makes, or if it does make much of a difference. But the thing shot pretty flat to begin with. Just, I guess here I should show we've now got a clear gun at this point. So yeah, trigger was great. Control was great. Recoil control was great. I didn't have any issues with that. The sights seemed like they worked pretty well. I don't have a whole lot of guns with blackout sights, but that didn't really seem to bother me. To me, the strangest thing with shooting this gun is typically when I shoot a gun, especially for the first time until I kind of get a feel for the trigger and really kind of settle into a rhythm, I tend to shoot left, either low left or just left. And for some reason with this gun, I was consistently shooting right. So as you saw in the video there, this was kind of what we have pattern-wise for the shooting. So overall, I was pretty pleased with it. I mean, you have a fist-sized group there as far as the main group, and then I got these two flyers here that I can't really account for other than just, you know, me having poor mechanics. But otherwise, the grouping was fairly tight. Just to give you guys an idea, typically I shoot from about 40 feet, which, you know, isn't crazy far, but it's also not right up against the target. It's not your traditional, you know, 15 feet away or whatever. So it's a little bit of a longer shot, and with a gun that you've never shot before, I was pretty pleased with a fist-sized group there on the target. And you can see here, I kind of have like mini groups within here. So I definitely feel like the gun itself is super accurate, and I should be able to pull that in. I don't know why I'm shooting right with this gun when I've never had any other gun that I shoot right with. If I don't shoot center and I tend to lean one way or the other, it's almost always to the left. So that kind of surprised me, I'll put it that way. But until I get more time shooting with it, get more comfortable with it, if I consistently continue to shoot right, then maybe I'll figure that there might be something needs adjusting. But for now, I'm pretty pleased with that from the distance I was shooting and my first time shooting the gun. And then, of course, you can see there in the video, when I shot still, I was shooting a little more rapid fire and basically got the same result. It was still shooting a little bit to the right, but a decent grouping considering the speed I was shooting with. So I think I've covered just about everything as far as the gun, the features, the mechanics of the gun, and really, really liking this thing so far. I'm excited to get that compensator on it and test that out and do a review of that. One thing I will just mention in case you're like me, you know, I was looking to get extra magazines, and for a long time, Canik magazines were hard to come by. And with this being a newer model that was out there, I was having a hard time finding out for sure which model magazine actually fits this model, the Canik Mete Pro. So this is what you're looking for. If you're trying to find the 20 round, this is the 20 round magazine for this model. It's the TP9 series of mags. So you can see there, if the camera's picking that up, you've got your TP9, basically all those models. And then down here, you have the Mete SFT, SFT Pro, SFX, and SFX Pro. So that is the magazine you're looking for. These things typically right now are running right around $40, which is, at least in my opinion, kind of steep for a magazine, but it's also not super uncommon right now. For the last several years, magazines have just been pretty pricey and hit or miss when it comes to finding them in stock. So I wasn't overly surprised by that, but that is what you're looking for in case you're trying to figure out what mags are compatible with this. Because at least at the time that I bought this, that information didn't seem to be readily available online. That may change by the time I actually get this video edited and posted, but that's kind of where we were at when I bought it. So overall, guys, basic initial thoughts on this gun. This feels like a great shooter. Super happy with it. I like the way it looks. I like the way it feels. I love the trigger on it. I like the flared magwell. I like the magazines on it. Really, the only thing that I'm not as big a fan of is the way the takedown is, but that's just me. I prefer to have a lever instead of kind of the Glock style or whatever you call that there. But that's very nitpicky. Overall, love the gun and highly recommend it if you're somebody who wants to get a gun that's full size, a nice, easy to control gun that out of the box has an amazing trigger on it. Then I think this would be definitely one of the guns that should be at the top of your list, the Canik Mete Pro. So whether you get the SFT or the FSX, you know, that's up to you, whether you want that slightly longer barrel or not. I tended to prefer this model here. I didn't see the need for another inch or so on the barrel, but that's up to you. I think either model would probably perform very similarly, and I do highly recommend them.